His life was very valuable.
You know, I found the story when I met a widow named Dena. She lost her husband years back.
Just not going to let it end in vain.
I didn't realize that cancer is the #1 killer of firefighters.
The parade of honor for him being a firefighter. The streets were blocked, lined up.
It was unfair that she lost her husband at such a young age and that her kids lost their dad at such a young age. I thought it wasn't fair.
Good evening, I'm David Schechter. Welcome to Verify, where we get to the bottom of one big story. Today, it's firefighters and cancer. But first, Chris and Izzy with the news. Firefighters know all about risk and danger. When we're running out, they're running in. But today, the risk is about more than just flames. Jon Stewart made that case to Congress earlier this year on behalf of New York firefighters who got sick saving lives on 9/11.
I'm pretty sure what's going to happen 5 years from now. More of these men and women are going to get sick and they are going to die.
In New York, firefighters were exposed to toxic dust from the Twin Towers. In North Texas, the danger comes from toxic residue on their gear, the jacket, the pants, the helmet. They're covered in soot after a fire, soot that can cause cancer. Firefighters say clean gear is critical to their health. Ensuring that, they say, requires 3 things. The first 2 are expensive: industrial washers to clean their suits, and a second set of gear to use while that first set dries. The last piece is raising awareness of the problem, and that is free.
The bell is the symbol of the last alarm. When a firefighter dies, they sound off the final alarm. Everybody can go home now.
After 13 years,
It's the last alarm.
you can still see the pain in her eyes.
My name is Dena Delbert plumber, and I'm the widow of Jeffrey Delbert, a Dallas firefighter.
Jeff was 39, and Dena, a young mother, was left to raise 3 kids on her own.
You know, I'll say it never goes away. It's always a part of my life.
Jeff was a firefighter for 13 years before he died. Exposure to the smoke of burning chemicals is known to cause cancer. And that's what Jeff had, brain cancer. Dena says one incident in particular the older Dallas firefighters will remember.
A transformer fire, an electrical transformer, that blew up and spewed out onto all the firefighters that were there, which was Jeff and 3 others. All 4 of those men have died early deaths of cancer.
3 of them got brain cancer. Turns out the chemicals that day were called polychlorinated biphenyls, which studies link to the disease.
So I guess with these chemicals, the threat to the firefighter's health doesn't just end when the fire's out.
No, it keeps going. In fact, Jeffrey took his suit that was covered in toxins back to the fire station and he continued to wear it. And then he was eventually diagnosed with cancer.
And do we know that that diagnosis of cancer is truly related to his job?
Yes. In fact, the city of Dallas recognized his death as a line of duty death. And that was the first time the city of Dallas has ever done that for a firefighter and cancer.
The Dallas Fire Association tells us that 60 current and retired Dallas firefighters have cancer. In Fort Worth, it's the same, 60 firefighters, and most of them are still on active duty.
It's enough that it's definitely worth investigating more.
Enough to worry about.
It is.
Dr. Jerry Barker is a radiation oncologist with Texas Oncology. He's treated firefighters over his 16 years, specializing in head and neck cancer.
Without question, firefighters can come into contact with very unusually high doses of carcinogens.
He says firefighters are frequently diagnosed with brain and bladder cancer, but it's tough to narrow down. They can really get any type of cancer from the countless carcinogens they're exposed to.
Or even if they're able to wear protective clothing, maybe later after the fire is over, they go back to their station and take off their clothing, and then they could potentially be breathing in some of these contaminants.
The science in this area is still emerging, but Dr. Barker says there is a growing consensus on what's happening. Firefighters have a higher risk of getting cancer.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention researched cancer in firefighters. They did it by studying nearly 30,000 career firefighters from Chicago, Philadelphia, and San Francisco. The study found, compared to the rest of us, firefighters face a 9% increase in cancer and a 14% increase in cancer deaths. That same study found increased awareness and exposure prevention are cost-effective ways to reduce occupational cancer.
Clean gear is very important. We didn't know any of that back then.
Dena Delbert uses pictures to tell the story of her late husband to rookie firefighters. Her message is protect yourself from occupational cancer.
When I talk to the recruits, I definitely approach it from a very emotional end. And I show them pictures of Jeff and how much he loved being in the fire department. And then I tell them the story of what happened with him and how he died. And then after that, I start teaching them the ways to protect themselves.
Last year, Dallas Fire Rescue started a new protocol for cleaning gear after a fire. Crews are required to spray detergent on their gear, rinse it, decontaminate with wipes, shower for 30 minutes, and detail wash their gear.
I wasn't lying, it's just a big commercial washing machine.
Then they can use this. An extractor. It's a specialized washing machine for gear. Though Captain Greg Henderson says it can be used after any shift, the national recommendation is to use an extractor twice a year.
Currently, the department has 18 total. There's 2 out here at the training facility, and there's 16 spread throughout the department.
So that's the extractors, right? We talked at the top about this second set of gear and drying the second set of gear. Tell me about why that's really needed.
Well, it's like when we're doing our own laundry. You have to give it time to dry. It's the same thing for these extractors, except there's no dryer for it. They have to hang dry, and you know how thick these suits are. So they need that second set of gear so that they can go back out into fires and save more lives.
So it comes down to awareness, clean gear, and more extractors. Families of firefighters like Dena don't think that's too much to ask for to help the men and women who risk their lives to save ours.
I don't want them to die, not from this. I'll do everything I can to help. They've certainly been there for me.
Wow, very eye-opening, and awareness and cleanness. Yes, you got to clean off that cancer, and I got to say there's no doubt without a question this is a crisis, and as a community we all have to do more to protect our firefighters.
Yeah, hopefully by Dena calling attention to it, they can prevent more cases down the line. By the way, those extractors can cost $8,000 to $10,000, and she mentioned that second set of gear that can cost around $3,000 per firefighter.
City of Dallas has approved that second set of gear for its firefighters. Well, there are so many layers to this story. Right now, David Schechter and Tiffany Liou are talking about it on Facebook Live. You can join them, let them know what you thought about their piece, and ask any questions you might have. Just go to the WFAA Facebook page.